Good morning, and thanks for joining us today. I am Kateri B. Walsh, Chair of the Springfield Women's Commission, and I'm so pleased to have all of you here today to join us in our program for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. You know, the Springfield Women's Commission, we thought a lot about what we should do for this month. Domestic violence is one of our main topics, and we decided that we wanted to invite the premier speakers and authorities on domestic violence in our area, DA Anthony Gulluni, who's here. Anthony. Elizabeth Dineen, Executive Director of the YWCA. They are two of our speakers. And then we thought, well, maybe we should do something a little bit different besides just giving advice and answering questions. And we thought back to how did domestic violence coordinators in the Springfield Police Department get started? Because at that time it was pivotal. I believe it's the first in the state, another first for Springfield. And we have to thank for that former Mayor Mike Albano. Former Chief Paula Meara. And our special recipient and honoree today, Brenda Lopez, the first domestic violence coordinator for the city and the state. And I think we can all agree that she cast quite a shadow and tough footsteps to follow, but she has done a great job. I'm so proud to call her friend. And when Mike Albano, if you think back, Brenda appointed us, we didn't get along that well. But as you can see, our friendship has grown over time. So Brenda was on that first Women's Commission that, thank you, Mike Albano, you appointed me to, and we've worked together ever since. So we're going to start our program off with our chaplain for the Springfield Women's Commission, Denise Stewart, who's going to say some words for a moment of silence.
Thank you, Kateri, and honor to each one who's here, who honor is due, and to all of you who thought it not robbery to come out today. This is so very important, and we appreciate you. On this morning, we want to take a moment and to remember our victims of domestic violence and their families, and send out our positive energy to those who are going through, that they will have enough energy and belief that they'll step forward and get the help that they need. So at this time, if we could have a moment of silence, and we thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Denise. And now we're going to have greetings from the city of Springfield. Bill Baker, I saw you here somewhere. Are you? Oh, he snuck up on me. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And such a great turnout. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Just want to acknowledge everyone that's here, advocates, supporters, friends, families, city workers, and volunteers. Thank you for coming up. Mayor Sarno sends his regrets for not being here. He's a little under the weather, but he wanted to make sure that the office administration was representative. I want to acknowledge Police Superintendent Larry Akers and Fire Commissioner B.J. Calvey. I know we have City Councilor Brian Santinello in the house as well. Bruce Adams from State Representative Angela Pupolo's office. Our Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, Judy Crowell. As Mayor Sarno always says, the elegant and eloquent Health and Human Service Commissioner, Helen Colton Harris. We also have Tracy Whitfield, City Councilor, and Maria Perez. Ayanna Crawford from State Rep Orlando Ramos' office. State Senator Adam Gomez. And I think we got everyone, and as the mayor always says, if I miss anyone, it's an absent of the mind, not the heart. So I do have a proclamation to read on behalf of the mayor. Whereas the month of October is recognized as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, a time for bringing together advocates, leaders, survivors, and loved ones to increase awareness, promote prevention, and provide resources and support for victims and their families. And whereas domestic violence remains a serious and urgent issue in the city of Springfield, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and across our nation. Domestic abuse, including physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and financial abuse, affects individuals in every neighborhood and community, regardless of gender, age, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or social economical status. The impact of domestic violence extends beyond individual victims, causing long-lasting emotional, physical, and economic harm to children, families, and society at large. The Springfield Police Department responds to more than 10,000 domestic calls each year. Ending domestic violence requires the leadership and voices of survivors and the support of our civic leaders and the coordinated efforts of law enforcement, the justice system, and public health professionals and community members. It is also demands a collective commitment to the values of nonviolence, equity, and respect for all individuals. And whereas the city of Springfield honors and stands in solidarity with all the survivors of domestic violence, we recognize their strength, resilience, and we acknowledge the critical work of organizations and advocates and individuals who are dedicated to ending domestic violence and supporting survivors. The city of Springfield is proud to join with the Springfield Women's Commission for a special flag-raising ceremony at City Hall to raise awareness about domestic violence. Therefore, I, Dominic J. Sarno of the City of Springfield, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2025 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Springfield. So signed. God bless and good health. I also want to acknowledge our District Attorney, Anthony Gulluni, is in the house as well. And our Veteran Services Director, Joe DeCaro. And I do want to give a special shout out to Milta Vargas, our current domestic violence advocate and coordinator. I don't know if she's in the house. Oh, there she is in the back. She has the best costumes ever in town, and she's also a 2019, if I remember correctly, Domestic Violence Award winner in the state, too. So I want to recognize that. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Nice job. And now, City Council Vice President and a member of the Springfield Women's Commission will also offer remarks. Tracy Whitfield.
Good morning, everyone. I'm City Councilor Tracy Whitfield. I'm just blessed and privileged to be here with all of you today on this very important issue, hoping that not another single domestic violence case will occur. But it happens in every family, and it's an important issue to talk about. We want to make sure that we have safe space for victims and their families to go to and to ensure that, we're keeping the community safe. So Councilor Walsh gave me directives, so I'm going to get to it.
Notice that Tracy is following my directions.
Yes, noted, recorded. And so DA Gulluni, you were welcomed by Bill, but I wanted to also welcome your team. You came with a bunch. So per Councilor Walsh's instructions, I want to welcome the DA's team, Damaris Ramirez. I'm sorry, Carpenter, I don't know your first name, but Tracy? Oh, Tracy Carpenter. Of course I know you. Tina Simmons, Anna Robinson, Maggie Casanos, Lauren Musa, Siobhan Ennis, Lauren Counter, Jane Chevalier. Now these are handwritten, so I'm doing my best. Peyton North and Haley Matthew. And from the Sheriff's Office, Jen Cakeley. So we just wanted to welcome you all to this ceremony. Round of applause. Thank you for taking the time and thinking this is important enough to be here. And I'll pass it back to Councilor Walsh.
Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. And I also want to point out that we have some young students here from Libertas Academy with Emma. If you could raise your hands. We thought it was important to include students in this presentation and that they will take home some of the messages today. And now, without further ado, we're going to have remarks from our District Attorney, Anthony Gulluni.
Thank you all for being here on such an important occasion. I want to thank the Springfield Women's Commission and in particular Councilor Kateri B for the invitation and for all the work you do 12 months a year. As everyone can see, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It's an opportunity to acknowledge the suffering of victims and survivors of domestic violence. It's an opportunity to acknowledge the resources. It's an opportunity to acknowledge the people who do the work 365 days a year to help people who are in the throes of domestic violence or who are working out of it. So I want to acknowledge, again, my team from the Hampden District Attorney's Office, who every day, thank you, Kateri, who every day does the hard work of fighting for victims, fighting for survivors, being in court, accompanying them to get to a place where they're safe. And without them, we wouldn't do such important work. So I thank them again for everything that they do all year round. They are unsung heroes. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Kateri asked me to speak a little bit about the resources and the things in our community that exist to help victims and survivors. This month, Acknowledging Domestic Violence began in October 1981 as a National Day of Unity. It's changed. It's become something that is, I think, more focused on acknowledging the suffering of and the prevalence of domestic violence in our community. And in my work, I see the ravages of domestic violence, both directly in terms of violence committed against victims of domestic violence and the downstream effects of domestic violence, right? As everybody in this room knows, there's a direct victim of violence and abuse, but that really echoes in that person's life through that person's family. So it really has a corrosive, dangerous effect on kids, on families, on people all around that person suffering from domestic violence. So it is a worthy occasion for us to acknowledge victims and survivors and what can be done in our community. I'm very proud to say through many of the people here in this room, we do a lot, both from a preventative standpoint as well as working with victims in the court system and when there is no criminal case. So our work takes us in positions of support for domestic violence victims, even if there is no criminal case that we're prosecuting. We have a specialized domestic and sexual violence unit with upwards of about 10 individuals who work very hard exclusively on domestic violence cases in our district court and our superior court. So some of the more entry-level criminal cases and the more serious things. We have specialized prosecutors, advocates, and staff who do this work and understand the uniqueness of these kinds of cases and the victims and survivors involved. We are available in every courthouse in Hampden County. We have advocates there to answer questions about the criminal justice system, support interactions with law enforcement, and connect survivors with resources like shelters, counseling, and legal aid. To make those resources even more accessible, we created a QR code that links directly to a hub of services for survivors and families. I believe some of those materials were left on your chair. Thank you very much. There it is. It's a nice card that you can take with you, put up in your workplace, provide to someone you think might be in need of these services. And if you need more of those things, we'll provide them as an office. If you work in a place where you want to have those accessible, or you think you just want to have them on hand to hand out, let us know. Peyton and Haley are here, and many other employees of the office are here to help you with that. Our mission is to ensure that survivors of domestic violence receive care, advocacy, and justice while we hold offenders accountable. We also have support victims for victims and their families. In addition to the casework that we do, we provide comprehensive support services for victims and families, Our advocates will help folks navigate the court system, connect survivors to counseling, shelters, community resources, and first and foremost, make sure their voices are heard in the case in which they're involved. Our partnerships with local organizations expand access to housing, counseling, financial assistance, and crisis intervention, most notably with Liz Dineen from the YWCA, who does a phenomenal job. We also have evidence-based safety tools and case management. Thank you, Liz. Yep. In every domestic violence case, we use research-based lethality assessments, and at the arraignment of offender, we have danger and lethality assessments to identify quickly how to handle a case and to make sure that we're putting resources forward for people who are in real danger. For our high-risk cases, we employ multidisciplinary case management systems that bring together law enforcement, advocates, service providers to ensure a coordinated, survivor-centered response. We also do a tremendous amount of training, collaboration, and systemic responses. Domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking are issues that no single agency can address alone, which was alluded to earlier. We provide these ongoing high-level trainings to law enforcement and other service providers. We serve as a hub for this kind of work for all our partners across different disciplines, working with victims and survivors. We, again, have support programs for victims and families that are always available. And if there's someone you know in need, please connect with us. We can provide those connections, again, to sheltering, to food, housing of other kinds, temporary and long-term, and so forth. In one aspect of the work that we do that I think is tremendously important and something about which I'm very proud is our prevention and education work. Beyond the courtroom, we believe in education and prevention as powerful tools to stop the cycle of abuse. One of our cornerstone programs is called 1 in 11, Preventing Dating Violence, which educates young people on recognizing the signs of unhealthy relationships and how to seek help. Many of you are probably familiar with the tragic story of Catherine Moki. Catherine was a student at Sabas. It was Sabas at the time. She was off to AIC that following fall as a full scholarship student. And she was murdered by her ex-boyfriend in an awful, awful situation. It was actually the first murder scene to which I went as district attorney in February of 2015 over off Page Boulevard in Springfield. And I'll never forget it, obviously. So we took that pain, that tragedy, in working with Catherine's family. We've done a lot of outreach work using Catherine's story to hopefully, prevent other similar situations from happening. And we developed in particular 1 in 11 Preventing Dating Violence. And 1 in 11 signifies that 1 in 11 of every teenager will be the victim of some sort of domestic violence or abuse. So we've taken that program throughout the high schools across Hampden County. We're expanding to college campuses. Thank you. We've talked to thousands of young people about these issues, and what's really brilliant about it is a lot of young people don't understand what a healthy relationship is, right? They think that the abnormal is normal. Maybe they saw it in their households, maybe they see things on social media, or maybe they just don't have the sophistication to understand what they deserve as a human being, as a male or a female, in the course of a relationship, in the context of a relationship. So this video that again puts forward Catherine Moki and her beautiful life as a way to say, hey, these are the warning signs. If you have a friend or yourself, you're in a situation that's concerning and these things are happening, controlling behavior, financial manipulation, attempts to isolate, etc. These are the warning signs that are only going to get worse and signify a cycle of domestic violence. And that video shows it, and we'll go in with folks from our office and elsewhere and talk to young people about this issue and have a dialogue that I think is very powerful and profound for these young people at 14, 15, 16 years old who are at the beginning of, relationships and understanding what they deserve and what they don't deserve. We're actually expanding this program to college campuses, working on this as a part of a student orientation. So every kid will see this upon their entrance into college. So we're really excited about that. February of each year also marks Teen Domestic Violence Awareness Month, And much like October, we talk about these issues using that national sort of stage. By engaging youth directly, we empower them to make safe choices and build respectful relationships. We also have a process when someone is charged, and that's the core work that we do, holding offenders accountable, and we hope stopping a cycle of domestic violence before it worsens. Domestic violence is not an issue any office or organization can solve alone. It requires collaboration, awareness, and community action. It's why an event like this is so special. We're committed to standing with survivors, holding offenders accountable, and working with our partners to break the cycle of abuse. We have those flyers and hard copies of our resource cards here today. Please take them. If you need more, let us know. I thank you all for being here. I thank you for your commitment and work on this issue. And let's have a great October, a great Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And like Tracy said, let's stop this stuff from ever happening again in our community. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Also joining us today is the Executive Director of Dress for Success, who I believe you help a lot of these women when they go through this process. Jen, would you like to raise your hand so we can acknowledge you? And I would be remiss if I did not mention that a member of our Springfield Women's Commission, Jillian Hinkson, is a victim domestic advocate, and she's joining us right here. Jillian. Oh, okay. I'm sorry I didn't say that. And aren't we lucky to have Anthony Gulluni as our district attorney? And all the wonderful programs. We're going to be joined by Adam Gomez, who I believe has some remarks in a citation, and also a citation from Carlos's office. So please join us, Adam and Lysandra.
So I'm going to be very brief. I just want to say that this is not a time that we celebrate, but we commemorate the lives lost and the victims. The Massachusetts delegation here in the city of Springfield stand firm and ready, when able, to make sure that the necessary resources that are applied throughout our community are funded within our budget. We know that we are in trying times, but the most important part of this is to make sure that these stories stay alive, so then that we are able to make sure that, again, that this type of violence doesn't happen again. With my partnership with the attorney generals and the district attorneys, with MOVA, with victim assistance. This is the reason why we expanded on that board through a piece of legislation that I filed, and we're able to get across the finish line. But lastly, I would like to salute every single woman that is here, but also acknowledge our LGBTQ community and the non-binary individuals that suffer from domestic violence as well, because that when we talk about violence, when we mean all, we mean all. And with that, I would say thank you for letting me be a part of this this event. And obviously, not only in October, but every single day, we're fighting against domestic violence. With no further ado, I would like to introduce District A to Leader Carlos Gonzalez, Eliana Gutierrez, to issue a citation.
Thank you, everybody, for having us here today. I am regrettably, Leader Gonzalez couldn't be here with us, but I know that he would like me to thank all of those that are here and that aren't here, that do the work every day. Those that, like the district attorney's office, for having so many people on his staff that are dedicated to this work. Thank you. To the shelters, to the advocates, to just a friend, those friends that encourage those to do or want better for themselves. And so in that, I have a citation for one of our first here in Springfield, Brenda Lopez. Can you, if you can stay there if you'd like, if that's easier for you. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts House of Representatives, be it hereby known to all that Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Brenda Lopez in recognition of her historic role as the first domestic violence counselor in the city of Springfield, a pioneering act that laid the groundwork for critical support systems and healing. This landmark achievement highlights the importance of a dedicated counselor in providing essential services, empowering survivors, and advocating for change against domestic violence abuse. We honor your courage, your commitment, which serve as a beacon of hope and a powerful reminder of the impact one individual can have in establishing lasting resources for those in need. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. Given this day, the first day of October 2025, and it was given by Ron Mariano, our Speaker of the House, and of course offered by State Representative Carlos Gonzalez. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. And thank you to Carlos. We're now going to be joined by Elizabeth Dineen. As the district attorney mentioned, they work well together, the executive director of the YWCA of Western Massachusetts. And you probably like to know that Brenda and I are on that board together. So welcome and join us.
It's incredibly fitting that we're here today to honor Brenda Lopez. We have the mayor who appointed the chief, who appointed Brenda. So thank you, Mayor Albano, thank you, Chief Paula, Meara, and thank you. When I came in here, I walked over to Brenda to give her a hug, and she said to me, "How far have we really come? How far?" If you noticed on the front page of the newspaper today, below the fold, there's an article about a man who served 21 years for killing his wife. He got out, he got married, and he killed his second wife. So I'm here to talk about what we have done, Miss Brenda Lopez. We have a district attorney's office who you just heard has a whole team of prosecutors, a whole team of victim witness advocates, and a whole team of community people going into the schools to teach and colleges. So we've come really far there if you think back about that. And his team is specially educated in trauma-informed care to deal with survivors and to comfort families. We have somebody from the Sheriff's Department, Jen Cakeley, who works with survivors of domestic violence in the jails, and she has a team that she's leading because many of the people that are incarcerated have been survivors of this. We also have a sheriff who has a sheriff shuffle every year, who raises money for the YWCA and publicly goes out and speaks about how horrible domestic violence is, because unfortunately 2 people very close to him were murdered. That is, we've come a long way there, right? We also have leaders of nonprofits here today that are not in the arena of domestic violence, but understand that many of the people that they're serving every day are impacted by that. So the reach is growing and growing. I have, I don't know if Adam has left, but I can tell you we have 3 state senators that I deal with, Adam Gomez, John Vilas, and Jake Oliveira, that I can pick the phone up and say, we're going for an earmark and I need your help. Will you co-sponsor this bill? And before I'm even finished asking, it's whatever you need, we've got you, we're going to support you. There's Mr. Gomez right now. So that is another indication of how far we've come, because those are 3 male senators, state senators, who will do anything. We also have a congressman, Richard Neal, who I call up when I need to get funding, federal funding, from the Department of Justice or the Office of Violence Against Women, or OVC, and he has helped. Every time I've called, he's picked the phone up in the 9 years I've been at the Y and done what I have asked. So, unfortunately, we still have domestic violence. And unfortunately, we still need people like Carmen, who's running Alianza up in Holyoke, and Marianne Winters, who's running Safe Passage up in Northampton, to run agencies. But we are rising to the call. The YWCA has 141 employees, Paula. Every one of those employees has trauma-informed training to deal with survivors of domestic violence, human trafficking, stalking, and sexual assault. We also have a mayor, Mayor Sarno, who has worked very closely with Jerry McCafferty, who runs the housing program, the big HUD funding for homelessness, who has helped the Y help survivors of domestic violence get housing. We have a grant for $1.2 million to do that. We've come a long way, Brenda. We've come a long way. So what does that say? Even though we still have it, unfortunately, we have police officers like Chief Larry Akers, who trains his officers, every one of them, on domestic violence, because he knows that that is the most dangerous call his people will have to respond to. But he also knows, as Anthony Gulluni said, there's a ripple effect of domestic violence, and there's children in those homes, there's elderly people in those homes that need to be supported when the abuser is arrested. I am so incredibly grateful for the support that I've had from the police department, starting with John Barberi. I can't even thank Cheryl Claproot enough, and now you. And I can tell you, every time a police officer comes to the Y, when we have an abuser on campus, they are professional, they are so kind, and they are patient, not judgmental. We've come a long way, Brenda. We've come a long way. So I'm sorry that we're still dealing with this, and I'm sorry we still have to have a month to raise awareness about it, but we are moving in the right direction, because the people that are in positions of power in Western Mass are doing a great job to give us support, Mr. Gomez, to support the victims and arrest them, to prosecute them, and to refer people to the YWCA. At the end, at the end of this event, I'm going to ask Tiara Wright, who is the VP of Communications and Development, to pass out some information that we brought so people have those resources. And I have to say something just completely private. Kateri, your brother gave me an opportunity to work at the DA's office, and I am very grateful to DA Bennett. And Milta Vargas, I love you, and I love working with you very, very much. And Tina Walker, who represents the DA's office. And one last thing I need to acknowledge, Paula Meara, thank you for hiring me.
thank you so much, and I'll be happy to pass that on to Bill. I'd be remiss if I did not introduce my former colleague and friend, representing Senator Markey, Jesse Letterman. And now we're going to get to the part of the program that we've been looking forward to. Our guest of honor, one of our many guests of honor, our special guest of honor, Brenda Lopez, and we're looking for remarks from the tag team of Mayor Mike Albano and Paula Meara to talk about Brenda. Please come forward. And I think it's important to note that the position of Domestic Violence Coordinator for the City of Springfield was an initiative of the Springfield Women's Commission at that time. So we're proud of how far you've come and the program has come. We'll start with the mayor and then you, Paula. Thank you, Mayor Mike.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here. Good to be back at City Hall and see so many friends, old friends, new friends. Just want to say that these events just don't happen. Brenda Lopez just doesn't happen. Chief Meara just doesn't happen. It takes leadership. And this Women's Commission and Kateri Walsh, for so many years, I won't even announce the number of years, have been out front on so many issues, which has made a difference. It's made a difference to this community and to all Western Massachusetts. And leadership, when I talk about leadership, the DA's office, you know, you've heard some good things, but not every DA's office does what DA Gulluni does. Not every one. I've been across this state. This is powerful stuff that he's doing, and he deserves a great deal of credit, as all of you do. So thank you for the work that you do. It's important. It's important. And the YW, Liz Dineen, couldn't get a better person to run that operation. You couldn't. If you looked all over this country, you couldn't find a better person. So between the DA's office and the Y, you've got powerful, powerful leadership. But getting back to the commission for a second, it was Kateri Walsh that introduced me to Chief Meara. And she said, if you don't hire her, you're not going to get reelected. And it was true. So Chief Meara became the first woman chief in the city of Springfield. And by all accounts, during her tenure, she was the best chief of police in America. In America. And I stand by that, Chief Meara. And then the Women's Commission said, if you don't hire Brenda Lopez, you're not going to get reelected. And she was right. So she was hired. But it goes beyond that when I talk about leadership, because Mayor Menino of Boston called me and said, what are you doing with this young woman over at the police department for domestic violence prevention? And I said, exactly that, Mayor. And you should do the same thing. And he did. And he did. So it started here, it went to Boston, then Somerville, then all across the Commonwealth, that these positions were created by government, and what a difference it's made. What a difference it's made. So that's my story. And I can't say enough about Chief Meara. She's been a great friend. She's been a great community leader. And I love her. I wish she was back. But retirement's good. Retirement's good for the chief. No, I know the chief's there. He's doing a good job too. But she's been wonderful. All of you have been wonderful for attending, participating in this event. Once again, I thank the Women's Commission for the work that they do.
Thank you. Well, it is nice to sleep at night, Your Honor. So Mayor Albano, DA, Gulluni, Commissioner Akers, and all the elected officials, Chair Walsh, the Women's Commission, Brenda, your family, your friends, your supporters who have filled this room. I'm trying to recall exactly where we first met, but I can't because you were everywhere. In the community, in the court,
at the hospital, at the Y, in the street, and with the families. So let's first think about the journey that we shared, Brenda. The old days, tremendous underreporting of attacks, very little intervention by authorities, and for a while, 0 beds for women and children that had to be signed by their moms into DSS to prevent losing them. The pain that caused. No domestic violence specialists at court, none at all, until one day Maureen Neal appeared, and after her Eleanor Kress, and it began just a little bit of intervention that today is multiplied in ways that I can't even imagine. Great job down there, DA. Makes my heart feel good. But Brenda, we saw that women, you saw that women were not safe in their own homes, and you were not satisfied. So we advocated for change in the laws. And if you remember our work, Brenda, your advocacy helped in changing the arrest law. Initially, we could not arrest for past misdemeanors. Very few perps were going to abuse in the officer's presence. And now you can when supported by the facts, and in fact, it's mandatory. So good work. Also, raping your wife was not then a crime. And now, not just has that changed, but relationships have changed. You're not required to be married. You can be in a relationship and you still get some protections. So crimes were redefined. And as people we serve lost their lives, we advocated for safety, and laws governing restraining orders were enacted, eventually expanding even to the workplace. And the DA's office, we began to see some women who just saw things a little differently. First there was Diane Dillon, and then there was Sheila Mulholland, and Liz Dineen, who did I don't know where you are, Liz, who did a great, oh, she's got my back, who did a terrific job, and not just on their cases and with their families, as important as that was, but in multiplying their efforts, spreading the words, and changing things. So victims began to have rights. And as I said, I can't recall exactly where we first met, Brenda. I wish we could, but we were always on the same team and serving our community. And all that took a lot of marches in the street. Remember those marches? Yep. We had sore throats the next day. Yeah. And many, many rallies. And a whole lot of politicking. And Brenda had more than a few words to say everywhere that we went. And just as you did when you worked at the YW, when I was on the board, we had already lost their building on Howard Street, and we only had a few beds in the community, not nearly what we needed. Most of our victims had no place to go, no escape plan. There were no resources. So the board had a dream. It took hard work, and during that time, Brenda spread her first-hand stories educating potential donors of the need. And Senator Melkonian helped us secure help from the Commonwealth. Mayor Albano supported the project in our city big time. We purchased 11 acres in Springfield for a campus. We went down to Jacksonville, Florida, and toured the first public domestic violence and the only public domestic violence shelter in the country at that time. And we came back and erected not just the second public shelter in the country for battered women that was state-of-the-art, that you could drive up to as if you were going to a fine hotel, with some pride. But we also built the campus, the start of the campus, which I know is continuing today, where we had transitional housing. So I'm very proud of your efforts in that, Brenda, also. And what a change for our officers who used to have to tell the abusers, take a walk around the block and calm down. Remember those days? Boy, oh boy. So as police chief and working with Kateri and the Women's Commission, the mayor, and our terrific city council that understood teamwork, and which included our present Mayor Sarno, we secured the domestic violence coordinator in the police department for Brenda Lopez. And Brenda faced her challenges going into that environment. They were just not used to seeing a woman that was so powerful. And she interacted with every single police officer between teaching in the police academy and her work on the street. She cut through all the preconceptions with her vast knowledge and experience and her eagerness to serve. She became our most trusted resource before long being sought out by the officers for some counseling themselves. So thank you, Brenda, for your work with victims in implementing our first survivors clotheslines. Remember the day I asked you to do that? I think she said, wow. And I remember the first two were at Court Square and Magaziner Park, and many more since. But the victims found healing in designing their shirts and hanging their laundry in public, out from behind closed doors. Nice work, Brenda. So thank you, Brenda, for the large and countless community meetings and the smaller private meetings where you spoke, calming a community traumatized by a serial killer, preying on our most vulnerable. You and Kathy Brown were instrumental during those months of terror. And it still catches my breath. Kathy's here. Can you give us a wave? Thank you, Kathy. Still catches my breath when I drive through some of the locations of some of the evil that was done. So Brenda, from my heart to yours, thank you for your hard work in the beloved community. Thank you for your gentle, persuasive manner for going forward with the victims and showing them that they could pick up the pieces and go on. Thank you for your success in literally teaching abuse prevention, a novel idea in that time, which you gifted upon so many women and children. And thank you for every life that you've touched.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Mayor Albano. I think you'd have an idea of why we wanted to recognize Brenda Lopez today. And I'm going to bring up two members of the Springfield Women's Commission, Maria Perez and Ayana Crawford. And Brenda, we have some gifts for you. If you could come up, we would like to give them to you and then ask you to make remarks. And Milta, did you want to bring up some gifts also?
Good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful day here in the city of Springfield. I, on behalf of the Springfield Women's Commission, want to thank each and every one of you that has had the determination, the commitment to stand with women, to stand with those that are dealing with domestic violence. So I want you all to pat yourself on the back. I want you all to stand up with me and acknowledging someone that has been here in our city for so many years, doing this hard work, this work that can only come from someone that has made those right connections. And so at this time, we'd like to recognize our beloved, wonderful, blessed woman who has been standing in the forefront, on the sidelines, in the middle of the lines, and helping women and men through domestic violence. And at this time, our beloved Miss Brenda Lopez.
Well, I want to thank you all.
Maria has a gift for you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You know, Brenda, I will not get out of this room to say thank you, thank you. On a personal matter, I was one of those young ladies that came here 50 years ago. I didn't know my pathway, and having this lady work with me and Barbara Rivera, I mean, she meant the greatest to me. Thank you personally. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
I think, Milton, did you want to give a gift? Did you want to bring a gift up? Do you want to sit?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep it short so Brenda can say a few words while she's still
A
standing.
few. And I'm going to keep it short. For me, one of the things I realized, it's like with the Michael Albano as our mayor, and a new mayor, is that there were people that I was going to find that didn't like, were not happy about this new position. But I would remind them that they had seen me in their space many times, and that it's not about who you love or who you like. It's about what can you do together. If in fact, here in the city of Springfield, had gone to the Massachusetts Women's Commission. It's like, okay, we don't have one in Springfield, but then we had one, a women's commission. Why not go to the next step, Mike? You're a brave man. A women's police chief. Why not have something in the DA's office and at the medical center and all around us where we could support, help each other with our programming and resources? There's plenty for all of us, but we have to recognize I don't have to like you, but it's not going to stop the work. We're here to do work on behalf of the people in our community. Mayor Mike gave me that opportunity. A lot of police were like, who's she? And what's she doing here? I'm like, I'm your new ally. Rather than you having to come and me, we can all go together in the direction that we want to try to be on the forefront of ending violence against women, children, and in families. It's recognizing that it's not just this one person that you're serving. It's the other children. It's the school classroom. Because those children impact other children, impact other children. And we could all come together, recognize the long, long, ugly arm of violence in our community, then we could work together on those issues that we agree upon. We're not going to agree upon everything, even now in 2025, but we can always be working towards those things. I implore all of you, this is October 1st, the beginning of the month, to be aware of and try to prevent. So you talk to who during November and December and other months? You talk to each other, your family, your friends, your neighbors, and say, when you see it, don't just turn your head like it's okay, because it's not. None of us should have to live in the fear of our own home. Children shouldn't have to sneak guns and knives out of their home because they're afraid of what will happen when they're gone. So all of these things we can prevent. You know, I say, as much illness as I've faced, I also face and look at straight ahead all of the inroads we have made through the years. Let us continue on the forward path, because we have come a long way, but we've got a long way to go. So let's not stop in October. Let's continue that every month we have to be aware. And if we're aware, we can help others become more aware and more proactive around the issue of violence against women, children, and in families. And remember, these are families. I love you all. You know me. And so, you know, I thank you all. As I look out, I look in. And I'm so proud that I could come into this space and feel that I'm back home. Wow. And that there still continues to be a women's commission. I'm so proud of this women's commission, and that through the years, it's continued that women want this, that they need it, and that community needs to know that they're connected, and that those connections, we won't let them fail. And the Women's Commission is a perfect example of that. And so during this month, and it's the 1st of October, I want you to remember that wherever you are, whoever you're with, domestic violence is a part of the work that we do to keep the city healthier. We're never going to be perfect, but we can be healthier. So let us try. And young people, don't believe that violence, control is a part of love. Don't think that somebody can come back and say, oh, you know, I was upset about, it's okay, you're upset, but I'm not going to be the battering ram. If we can talk to our young people, let them know they don't deserve to be violated in any way, pressured for sex. Well, if you want somebody, so you can talk to your daughters and talk to your sons. I just took off a sweatshirt, said, what? Respect? Yeah. Teach your sons to respect women. I remember, I don't know, Carmen remembers, when I started talking to men about domestic violence, and people were upset with me in the coalition because I said, where else are they going to go? I treat them and hold them until they can get more help. And now there's help for men. There's programming for men. We have to remember, no matter what DCF, we have a relationship. No matter what agency, we can make those connections and help those families, because whether we want them to be or not, they're going to be together, and we're going to be interventionists and advocates for families. I thank you all again for coming. You know, it's like...
I got this.
Thank you, Brenda. We all appreciate what you've done. We're so glad you could be here with us today. Our last remarks are from Tracy Carpenter, State Director of the League of Women Voters for Domestic Violence. And then please join us for refreshments. I want to point out that the refreshments are donated by Sheriff Nick Kochi, who couldn't join us today, but who definitely supports Brenda and all the people that work in the field of domestic violence. Tracy? Who's hobbling up here?
You got it. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Brenda. That was so powerful hearing your remarks. I guess in some ways it is fitting for me to come after you. I would like to talk about how far we must go and where we're going. My name is Tracy Carpenter. I am a state director for the League of Women Voters. I am accompanied here by fellow directors Melinda Murphy, Erica Andrews, and Jacqueline, other members here. We extend our appreciation to the Women's Commission and City Councilor Kateri Walsh for hosting this important program in recognition of Domestic Violence Month. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization. Our efforts focus on supporting voters, strengthening democracy through advocacy, education, community engagement at the local, state, and federal levels. How far we must go. The League maintains a strong commitment to supporting legislation relative to domestic violence. Today, I wish to bring to your attention Bill number H1594 S205. It's an act relative to controlling and abusive litigation, for which testimony has been submitted at the recent judiciary hearing. At present, the Senate requires reporting on this bill by Tuesday, December 3rd. Let us hold that date in our mind. Whereas the House rules provide reporting within 60 days with an additional 90 days extension. Since the judiciary hearing took place on June 3rd, the reporting deadline has now passed. So technically, we're well overdue for the House's decision. The League firmly believes that preventing domestic violence requires, in which we've heard this today happening here in Springfield, a robust, coordinated state response, one that is integrated, interdisciplinary, and adequately funded. And that involves all parts of the criminal justice system, the medical community, the educational institutions, social services, and private sectors, always prioritizing survival safety. The League supports ongoing training for all judges and court personnel on domestic violence issues. Addressing domestic violence remains a priority for the League. We support a comprehensive statewide approach that includes recognizing control as part of abusive definitions, providing enhanced protections for survivors and the children regarding abusive litigation and child custody issues, increasing public awareness as we begin today, this month today, through expanded education and training initiatives. We greatly appreciate the creation of the Domestic Violence Coordinator's role. And thank you, Brenda Lopez, for your tremendous service to the city as serving as the city's first coordinator. Thank you.
How lucky are we to have all these resources to help women when they need it? So that concludes our program, and we do want you to join us for refreshments. But first, I would like all the speakers and the members of the Women's Commission to join us for photos. And then afterwards, anybody who wants to take a picture with Brenda, but I told her to stay in her chair, we'll work around you. So glad you could join us here today. And thank you, everybody, for coming.